In this episode, I speak with Sian Pascale, my friend and one of my yoga teachers, and also founder of the Light Collective online studio. Sian is the real deal when it comes to really digging into the origins of yoga, the tradition, the power of pranayama, mantra, kundalini kriya, meditation, and tantric practices. Sian has spent years, I think she mentions on the show, 20 years or more, delving into these philosophies, and she just has such a beautiful way of sharing that wisdom, still connected with Australia, with the Western world, and really making it relatable for those of us who are wanting to find more calm and ease anxiety in our lives. In this episode, we also talk about the challenges of life and Sian's experience with anxiety, and particularly a story involving her moving to India, studying architecture, being an architect, totally different world before finding her way here. She's the perfect example of that high functioning anxiety, high achiever, wanting to get it all done, but finding a very different path in life, one dedicated to slowness and that inner work. You are going to absolutely love this episode. It filled my heart so much to have this connection with Sian. And so let's get into it. Let's go to the show. Hello, Sian. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Georgie. Thank you.
I am literally just buzzing to chat to you because we connected many years ago, like when I first started getting into yoga. Like, how long ago? It must have been 2014.
16, yeah, 14 to 16. I left that studio in 16. So
there you
probably,
go.
yeah, that's a long time ago. 7 years almost.
At Humming Puppy in Melbourne, and it was a beautiful time. And and you were just, I went to your yoga classes and they were so powerful. I just feel like I was transported to another planet after being in one of your classes. And it's always stood out to me that the way you practice yoga is so different to anyone else I've ever experienced.
Oh, wow. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Georgie. That's so beautiful.
And so I had to have you on the show, Sian, to tell everyone a little bit about yoga. You know, if anyone here, maybe we got some yogis listening, I'm sure we do. But also just to talk a little bit about yoga. I have never really brought it into the podcast before. And it's interestingly been such a powerful part of my journey too.
Yeah, it's so funny because I was talking to one of the girls on my team today and I said, I'm going to meet up with you. We're doing this podcast. It's on anxiety. And this is the first time you've spoken about yoga. And we were both like, what? Is there another way to deal with anxiety besides yoga? Because that's just like my mode. That's the way that I have managed it. And I know everyone on my team as well. So I'm excited that this is a new kind of avenue for you to like explore with your
Exactly.
listeners.
It's just one of those, what I love about helping people with this is that it's not one size fits all. Like there's so much we can offer to everyone. And I love that it's just so obvious to you. And
For me, we were like, what?
Okay, so let's go back and, you know, I love
in time.
Well, I want everyone to get to know you and where you've come from, because I was just saying before we hit record too, that I remember listening to a podcast you did ages ago, telling your story about before you got into the yoga world, which is now your absolute life, I know. But before that, you were like an architect and in a totally different world. Take us back, like tell us the journey that led you to yoga.
Sure. I mean, and it's so interesting because it's really linked into anxiety as well. So it's a really great crossover story. Nice work. Nice work doing that segue. So, I mean, I was always a high achieving little human, but I was always deeply spiritual as well. I think that I was lucky to have a family that really encouraged that in me, or never made me feel bad or weird for the many spiritual experiences that I had. So by the time I got into university and I was studying architecture, I was about 19. And just that pattern, that habituated pattern that I had started to get into of working really, really, really hard, getting super anxious about all of these projects that I had on, and architecture school is very intense. I was really burning myself out to the point where I remember a couple of times I literally burnt myself out so much I couldn't see. So I couldn't read anything. My whole body would fall apart in these moments of burnout. And I was so anxious, so stressed out. My mum said to me, I just spoke to this woman at the shopping center in some hippie store, and her boyfriend runs a yoga class out. This is back in the year 2000. Okay, so this is yoga wasn't cool. It wasn't like some Georgie studio. It was, let's clear out the little teeny tiny chairs from the primary school, and we're in somebody's schoolroom. And she said, I'm going to drop you there every Wednesday. And that started my yoga journey. And it was an Ashtanga practice. And I was so fortunate because my teacher at the time was very good looking. So I was really motivated to go to those classes.
It doesn't hurt. Doesn't hurt.
It really doesn't hurt.
The universe was like, we got to keep her here. So let's give her a bit of a carrot to dangle.
Exactly. The universe knows me well. And he was like heart and soul the most gorgeous teacher. And he said to me, you've got to practice every day. And I gave him all the excuses. I didn't have a mat. I don't know how to do it. He gave me his mat and said, practice on this. And he gave me some also daggy old video to practice with, VHS back then, what to do. And so I started my daily practice, and really it had a massive, massive impact on me. And look, my journey into having a daily practice had started maybe 3 years earlier at 16. I was getting debilitating migraines. So I think around the time my hormones changing, also just year 12, I was super stressed out again, really high achieving, just the usual anxious personality type. Yeah. And my beautiful English teacher gave me a meditation tape, a progressive relaxation meditation. And I started to practice that every day, and my migraines disappeared. Wow. And so that whole year I was meditating for an hour every day. I had that chance to really release a lot of anxiety through this particular style of meditation where you kind of clench your whole body and then relax, and then you clench your face, and it was really the perfect thing for me to release a lot of the pent-up anxiety that I obviously had in my body. So it had started at 16. Then I got into movement practices at 19, and I kind of thought I had it all under control. And like I was kind of known as a bit the yogi around school. Like I wasn't going to pubs, and I had a totally different framework from then on. Like I was practicing Ayurveda, so I was eating differently. I was managing my body and mind in a completely different way. And it was very powerful for me. It totally changed things. But to be honest, I would still experience stress. I'd still experience bouts of anxiety here and there. I had this tool to manage it. But again, I found myself, I was an architect then in my late 20s. I decided to move to India. I really wanted to work for this incredible architect in India. It didn't end up happening. I ended up opening up my own design studio in India. And at the same time, I was doing a teacher training with my beloved teacher over in India. So over a 2-year period, I was training with her. And I was running a design studio. So
the attraction to India, was that partly because you were following the yoga that brought you over there, and then going, I can fit in the architecture here as well?
It's interesting because I'd been to India by that stage. I'd already done 2 big trips. The first time I went to India, I was 21. And again, it was after a period of working very hard. I had been living in Copenhagen as a student studying at the art school over there. And it actually really depressed me. Most people love Copenhagen. For me, it was dark all the time. It was freezing cold. I didn't kind of click with the culture. And my mum and I decided, let's meet somewhere warm, because I just needed that. And we met in India. And even though I was a yogi, even by that stage, I had never been that drawn to India. But then when we got there, we both just fell in love. And mum stayed for 3 weeks. And then I just stayed and traveled on my own. And yeah, that was at about 21. And it really was a game changer for me going over there. So I had this deep pull to India, and always have, connect really strongly with the people, the food, just the whole place. It's just my jam. Like, I love it. It's wild and chaotic and colorful and disgusting and everything. It's just so great. I love it.
I am literally fascinated by your pull to India, because I feel the opposite. And that's not it's just, we're all pulled towards different things.
Have you been?
Well, I haven't been. So
wait till you go.
Surface.
I wasn't pulled there either. But I truly believe that people who are pulled to India have lived there before. So it's a past life thing for me. It's not my first rodeo in India. And the people who go there and don't like it, I think they haven't been Indian yet in a lifetime. And one day they will. It's so specific, but it is incredible. For me, it was just the most beautiful place. Aww. And so going back there, it was this double thing. It really, truly, like, the architecture that inspired me the most was coming out of Studio Mumbai. So I moved to Mumbai, and at the same time, I knew it was this place that I loved. And I thought, look, I've been practicing yoga now for 12 years. I could get my teacher training over there. If it doesn't work out, I'll just do my teacher training. I'll move to Paris or Berlin or somewhere super cool where I wanted to go. But I got stuck in India, and it was the most incredible time in my life. But at the same time, at the very end of that trip, again, as an architect, I find myself, even though I've got my practice, I've got my beautiful teacher over there, I can meditate, I have some of these tools, I burn out again, and I'm sick, I've lost a whole heap of weight, everything has just kind of fallen apart for me. And I decided, okay, I'm going to leave India. I need to go back home. I need to sort out my gut health. As you know, this is huge. Maybe don't go to India, because you will definitely have gut issues.
Maybe not with the right probiotics. There are things we can do to I know if you're kind of
totally. No, I mean, yeah.
I have family I've sent over there with Saccharomyces boulardii, this specific probiotic that is known to help support and didn't get sick. So
there you go.
It's possible.
It is possible. India is still open to you.
Anyway,
so I find myself again burnt out, stressed out. I'm, shouting at people on site because nobody's doing any work. I'm just turning into this horrible person who I don't want to be. And I'm like, okay, I need to finish up these projects. I need to go home. But before I go home, I'm going to do my yoga teacher training. And so I decide to do it with this lineage of yoga that I've been practicing for 12 years. It's called Ashtanga. It's a very strong practice. You'll find a lot of lawyers do it. A lot of architects do it. If you can kind of get the theme, it's a lot of type A personalities do this practice. And I go into this training, and it turns out that although they're teaching me Ashtanga, they are really tantrikas. And so this was my first insight into Tantric Yoga. And I had pushed myself to just the edge, like I had torn a hamstring. I was in this yoga teacher training, and they just welcomed me and said, do the practice, be here. And I got taught breath work, I got taught mantra, I got taught meditation, and asana was part of it, sure, but it was really the energetics behind yoga. I was taught this very deep philosophical aspect of yoga, and all of this stuff that I realized I just had never been shown before. And it was this pull in me to also like look at, okay, not just what is my life, like what have I created in my life? How have I set up this really intense lifestyle for myself? Architecture is, it's a full-on way to be in the world. Like if you want to find the most critical people on the planet, talk to architects. Like they're a hardcore bunch. And I not only looked at how I was managing my life in general, but it also made me look at my practice. And I realized that I had been practicing in this hyper masculine, very hot, heated, fiery practice, which wasn't at all what I needed. And the beautiful thing about this kind of tantric stream, which is what I have really moved into in the last 10 years, is that it's embodied feminine work. And when you drop into the feminine energy, all of the things that drove you before just shift. And so I moved into this kind of deep feminine work, and it's been for me, like I said, it's a decade-long exploration, and I'm no expert yet, but it has allowed me to have, to come back to the theme of your podcast, a very different relationship to anxiety. Very different, totally different.
How has that relationship changed, your relationship to anxiety? Like, what was it before and how is it now?
Well, before it would be something that would really take over my life, whereas now when it arises, it is for me something very different in that it is an internal, how would I describe it? It's like an internal message. It is my intuition telling me that something is up and I need to take action. And the thing about anxiety, for those of your listeners who experience it, it's so visceral. It's like your body, it happens in your body. And the thing with something happening in your body is you don't always connect it to what's going on in your life, or you're not connecting it to a thought process necessarily. And I would say that like a couple of things happened for me because I had now this different toolkit of very feminine somatic experiences and techniques that I could draw upon. I can work with the visceral, that body aspect of the anxiety, and clear it out. So it's like when it takes over and you feel as though, oh my God, it's 1 a.m. I'm awake. I'm still thinking about this thing. My body is like on fire. It's like I now have very specific practices that can just clear the slate with that so that I can realign. And I think the other thing is that I've been meditating now for 22 years, right? So I'm very fortunate that I can see the moment of anxiety as being a kind of signpost towards my intuition. Because I have a clear mind, which it takes a lot of work. It's not something that happens maybe even in the first 5 years of meditating. Like it might happen for me personally. It's like I said, it's taken 20 years. And in the last 5 years, I have really been able to know what is intuition, what is fear, what is, an overactive mind or too much busyness. And so when anxiety arises for me, I'm like, okay, what's going on in my life that I don't like, that isn't working? Can I change it? Do I need to accept it? And so it's a completely different thing. And I have to say that it comes up most strongly in relationships. So if I'm in a relationship that I shouldn't be in, it'll come up. And I won't be able to sleep next to the person. I'll start having a lot of anxiety coming up. And until I face the thing, so until I face the fact that I'm with someone and, like I've been engaged, like this is big stuff where I've had to honor my anxiety, not as being something that I need to medicate, not as something that I have to push down in me or that I have to ignore or somehow get rid of. But when I look at my anxiety and I'm like, holy moly, thank you so much for being there, because you are like this inner alarm that's saying, get the hell out of here. This isn't good. This isn't right for you.
Yeah.
And it's like I see anxiety now as, you know, they talk about like the universe gives you a little tap, like, hey, that's not a good thing. And you're like, don't worry about it. I like this, or he's cute, or I'm going to get money out of this. And then it's like, hey, this isn't a good idea for you. And then it's just finally that kind of punch in the face until you actually make the change in your life. And for me, anxiety has become this, like it's a beautiful signpost is all I can say.
Yeah.
When I honor it. And I mean, it's taken me a long time to get there. And it's meant that I've had to clear out a lot of stuff in my body, like you do. I mean, you've got to clear out your diet. You've got to have that healthy gut in order for your intuition to be working. Because if you've got a gut that's messed up, your intuition isn't going to be present. I had to kind of clean up in my life. Like, what do I want to be doing? What is my path? What's my direction and meaning? I have to clean up like my relationships and the people around me and watch the toxicity. And then on a daily basis, it's like constantly cleaning out my mind through daily meditation practice. And that's when it's like, oh, I've done 20 years of this work. I can now see it in a whole new light. Mm-hmm. And I mean, when I think of some of the people closest to me who I know have anxiety, I know it's because there's something in their life they don't want to look at. And it happens for a lot of women who feel really stuck.
You know, I just want to say thank you so much for sharing that about anxiety and relationships coming up for you. I feel exactly the same. That's the area of life where I always feel the most triggered in that sense. And I do have a theory. I know, I mean, it's different. I mean, for a lot of my listeners, you know, there's the anxiety around health or around body and what do people think, and, you know, business and money and income and career and all those things. And we can all feel anxious about all of those things.
Yes, 100%.
But I do wonder if, for those that love to achieve and love to build a beautiful career or business, and, you know, things that are very tangible and controllable, I wonder if love is the area where, like, we don't have control of anything really, but we feel we've got control over our career, right? Or our business, because you can change things, you can, you know, hire different people. You can do things that feel very like I'm
concrete. Concrete
in love,
action.
What can you do in love and relationships that is certain?
Yeah, it's totally,
it's not up to us, is it?
Yeah. But I think that the interesting thing with certain personality types is like looking at attraction and looking at behaviors as well, especially very hardworking people can sometimes move into codependent behavior traits, I think, which is a word, codependency, I think, that is misunderstood. People think that it means that you're dependent on another person, but codependence is like, no, I can do everything myself. I can run this business, I can run a household, I can do it all, and I'll still be generous, and all of these kinds of traits that maybe are not well known when, like, in the public arena you hear the word codependent, but definitely some of those traits that you can look at in terms of relationships help you understand specific dynamics for sure. But I mean, yeah, love is a whole nother mystery where you have to like soften and surrender into it.
Yeah. And I will say a part of me, my higher perspective on it, kind of loves it too, loves the mystery of it.
Yeah, of course. That's the beauty of life, right?
It sure is. And so let's just like cycle back a tiny bit though to this discernment between anxiety when it's just fear an anxiety when it's really your intuition talking? Because I love asking people these questions. I have my own theories, but everyone's sort of got this slightly different take on it. Is there anything, I mean, you've said 20 years of meditation is one way to get there.
Step one, meditate for 20 years.
We got a little like fragment of wisdom we can share that might help someone, because I honestly think sometimes when we're like anxiety, and because anxiety is not always intuition, in the sense that it's not always your anxiety might be like throw the towel in, leave your partner, quit your job. It might be that's that feeling that you got to do it, but sometimes it's not the case. Sometimes it was you've had a terrible night's sleep, you've got all this other stuff going on, and you're just freaking out. How would you discern, Sian? What does it feel? What does it feel different?
To get to a place of discernment, I would highly recommend, first of all, starting a meditation practice, because even if you're doing 5 minutes of meditation a day, you kind of can get a lot of the crazy out in that time. So it all starts to come up when you sit with yourself. And this, I think that for people who are new to meditation, they think, I can't do it because I think too much. And it's like, that's perfect. Let that time be the time where it all bubbles up to the surface. And maybe you focus on your breath for a meditation, and you focus on your breath for like 20 seconds of that 5 minutes. And the rest of the time, you're just like, it's kind of, for me, I would say, like the basic key is to learn to be able to sit with yourself. And I think that a lot of people are scared of sitting with themselves because they're scared of what will arise. And so to do it in a really gentle and easy way, but with consistency, is really important, because I think that what starts to happen is, over a period of time, and I truly don't believe that there are these like super quick fixes. Like, I think that you can do some concentrated work, and then you have to carry on with doing that work over a long period of time. So all of the changes that you would make, say, with a program like yours, yes, you can definitely do it in 90 days, but then you don't stop and go back to the old way. The idea is you reset and you keep moving with your life, and you've made a big change.
Absolutely.
So to start to incorporate, say, a meditation practice into your day allows you over a period of time to look at, okay, that thought came up and I hadn't slept. That thought came up and it's come up every day for the past 6 months. I think I need to do something about that one.
Yeah.
And so because you're constantly assessing and checking in, excuse me, with yourself, this constant checking in, you're able to build an intimacy with yourself that no one else will ever have. Nobody, no therapist, no best friend, no husband. This is a deep intimacy that you have with yourself, and only you are going to know. But that takes a lot of self-love, really, because you have to put in time, and you can't just carve it out of a busy life. Like, you have to make space. You've got to let go of something else to make space for yourself. But that deep intimacy is the thing that will change you long term. And you build that intuition just through constantly being there with yourself.
As you say this, I think of, I mean, I love meditation too, but I think of the stacks of journals I've got just living in my bedroom, and I love to keep them because I love to reflect back and see at times.
Do you go back?
I go back. I do.
Wow.
Partly because I want to go and check where my mindset was, say, 5 years ago, so that I can help people with that and be like, oh my God, I used to think this all the time. That's right.
Yeah.
And you know, it helps me to write Instagram posts and things like that to relate with people. But not that I don't experience anxiety now, but it's different now. It's as you said, that relationship has shifted, you know, where it's not the big scary thing it used to be. But my question is, hang on. What was it? I'll edit that out. what kind of meditation do you love now? Has it always been the same meditation practice, or has it shifted and evolved over time?
Yeah, it has shifted and evolved. And I think that that's the beautiful nature of the feminine too. The feminine nature is to be this like human being who's able to shift and evolve and change. That's Shakti. This is the divine feminine. And so I think that for me, excuse me, I got something in my throat. Let's edit that out.
We can edit that out too.
For me, the nature of the feminine to flow and to change my practice as I grow and expand is really important. So, like I mentioned, when I was 16, every day I was doing this progressive muscle relaxation. And I still do a meditation practice for a long period of time. So I'll do the same one for a year, but I'm not going to keep it for my entire life. Like there are some people in certain lineages and you get one mantra and that's it, and you can never change your mantra. And for me, I just think, no, that's not the nature of my mind. I'm going to grow out of that, or I'm going to need to expand or do something else as well. But I still think that having a consistent practice is really important for maybe several years. So I was probably in my 20s doing a lot of yoga nidra, and yoga nidra is fantastic for people with anxiety as well, especially for those who have trouble going to sleep. It is a beautiful practice, and you can find practices online or, on our online studio. We have them. They're some of the most popular meditation practices on our online studio. People love yoga nidra. It's fully guided. Yeah, it's fully guided, and it allows you to drop into the body and also move out of the beta frequency, so the stress frequency of the brain, and drop into what's called the alpha frequency, which is a little more relaxed. That sort of state between being awake and being asleep, where you have like a really good idea and you think to yourself, should I write it down or should I go to sleep and remember it in the morning? You always forget it.
This is where we go in hypnosis too.
That's it. That's it.
Love an alpha brainwave state. Is yoga nidra, Sian, the one where you go, it's like the different parts
rotation
of the body?
Yes.
Yes, I remember those. They're amazing.
They are amazing. So I did that for a very long time. And then I moved into a tantric meditation practice. And now I do a mantra meditation, guru mantra meditation. Different schools call it different things and teach it slightly differently. So there's TM or Vedic, and my school, it's a guru mantra. And that is working with sacred mantras as the focal point. And when you repeat a sacred mantra, it has a really profound impact on the vibration of your body. So everything in the universe is vibrating, including our bodies. And depending on what we're surrounded by, whether it's nature and the frequency of the earth and trees, our body responds to that. And mantras themselves have the power to shift and change us at a very, very deep level. So they're sacred sounds. They're known as bija mantra, and bija mantra are seed sounds. And you could almost think of it as like you're planting a seed into your body. And the bija mantras are often related to goddesses or deities, or they have this kind of embedded meaning in the seed. Just like a strawberry seed, when you plant it in the earth, it always fruits strawberries. Or a mango seed always fruits mangoes. Every mantra will fruit in your life something different. So if you worked with Lakshmi mantra in your meditation, you would be bringing in beauty and abundance and fullness. If you worked with a Durga mantra, it could be that you're bringing in her energy of like warrior and fierce mother power, nurturing and love. Every mantra has a different impact on your body, on your life. And I like to work with those mantras now. So that's a big part of my practice and in meditation. But on top of that, I do like in the evenings, I would do a different style. Like I explore a lot, but my daily practice will always be with mantra. And then I'll explore other tantric meditations, lots of other breathwork practices as well. It's sort of, I have a consistent practice and then I have lots of exploration.
And then you have your playtime.
Yeah.
Do you choose a different mantra each morning, depending on what you feel called to?
Actually, yes, but that wouldn't be the thing that I would recommend everyone to do.
Yeah.
I stuck with my mantra. So I was given a mantra by my teacher, and I stuck with that mantra for maybe 3 years. And then I decided that I still have it. I'll always have it there. And I want to be able to explore at the moment. And so I'm in a fun explorative phase.
I love it though. I think that, it is the nature of the feminine to want to explore. In fact, you did an Instagram post about the feminine the other day that was so beautiful, and just the change, our bodies, are designed to change and cycle through. And I think it's the same we've all got this like aspiration, right, to have this like perfect morning routine. And yes, you can have elements that are like, the same themes, or you have a meditation. And I love that you sort of always do your mantra, but like you also check in, like, which one do I feel like playing with today?
Yeah, exactly. And I love that you work with cycles as well, because this is about us, even in our yoga practice, stepping out of this masculine, hyper masculine ideal of perfection, of one straight thing, of the same thing every day, only one way of doing it. Like this is the kind of, well, I mean, this would be probably a slightly unhealthy masculine attitude, but it's one that is so predominant everywhere for us still. And as women, it can completely limit us. Yeah. I really believe that like the way you practice yoga should be around your cycle as well. That's something that we always work with. It's like during your follicular phase, go hard, and in ovulation, do power practices. And then as you move through your luteal, start to slow everything down. Let your practice match your hormones and your energy, and you change your life.
Yeah.
I think that even in the yoga world, this is something that I've had to come up against, relearn and disentangle from a lot of hypermasculine teachings.
Yeah.
And we're coming into a new era where for me, it's always been about cycles and rhythms. We see it in the moon and the stars and the planets. We see it in our own bodily cycle. And if we don't listen to that, then it's going to be burnout. It's going to be serious anxiety. It's going to be medication and all of the things that are kind of not what we want in our life. I really believe, and I'm really glad that you support me in that, changing, shifting, cycling attitude.
I have a dream that one day we will literally have a workforce centered around women being free to operate within their cycle. I'm hoping that through the changes to work life with the pandemic and the way that people have got this more flexibility in terms of you can work from home 2 days a week, or you can do what you want, you can work remotely, has potentially opened the doorway for that. Where, you know what, if we're not feeling as like, we want to get into the work because we're just in that pre-period time, pre-bleed, and we're just feeling inward, we can go a little slower and we can take a nap at 3 o'clock if you want, and you don't have to be there and on.
Come and work at the Light Collective if you want that. That's totally the way we roll. It's 100% how every woman, I mean, we're an all female practice, excuse me, it's like very hot today, full female practice, and it's just the way we do it. I know when everyone is menstruating, what phase everyone's at. We all know, and everyone knows when I am in follicular phase, because I'm like, I have a million ideas. Let's go, everyone. They're like, oh, great.
Honestly,
it'll calm down in 2 weeks. Don't worry.
That's how I work with my team too. And sometimes like my assistant will be like, hey, can I get this to you in 3 days? Because I'm just like in luteal time. I'd be like, oh yeah, sure. Like we know what's urgent and what's what really doesn't matter. There's always got to be that sense of, the mind is always going to tell you this is a deadline, it has to be done, and you're letting people down. And then if you actually sit and question it, 99% of the time, no one's going to die. Like everything's okay.
Yeah, I know. That's what we do say sometimes around here. Like, we're just teaching yoga. No one's going to die. Touch wood.
Yes, exactly. Oh my gosh. Okay. So let's go from we were sort of in India, and you came home from India at some point. What led to that? How long were you in India altogether?
2.5 years I was living over there. Yeah. And I was sort of a little bit back and forth because the project that I'd worked on, the last project was a hotel project, a boutique hotel, and it did really well. And this is the thing that is always so fascinating for everyone. It's like, especially in India, because they knew me as an architect, and we were published in like the Washington Post and all these design blogs, and it just went so well. And it was at the end of that project that I just thought to myself, if I stay in this, it's like I am staying in a self-harming relationship, or I'm harming myself knowingly. Like, it is very difficult to stay in this industry and stay sane and stay healthy. I need to prioritize myself. And to be honest, after doing that teacher training, it was like something flipped over and completely switched in me from really prioritizing architecture and having yoga as the thing that was there to just, it's all I wanted to do was teach yoga and do my creative work, painting or being a ceramicist. It just, all I can say is that the teacher training, because it was an intensive, my vibration completely shifted. And it was like at the end of that time of doing mantra and breath work every day and being on retreat, you're taken care of. Someone's feeding you vegan food every day. Your schedule is laid out for you. All you're doing is meditating and connecting with other yogis. And by the end of that period of time, I just didn't want to go back to where I had been. And so I had to have a phase of shifting from being an architect to being a yoga teacher, because nobody knew me as a yoga teacher at that stage. And I'd been away from Melbourne for like 3 years then. And so I still had to do some design work, and that was a bit of a like clunky phase, but I put myself out there. I just started to teach wherever I could. And I was teaching at a gym, and I was teaching, just at local places and in somebody's office. Like I wasn't trying to do anything fancy or big. I just knew I needed to teach. And from that, one other thing I was doing was I was chanting a mantra for manifestation over and over again every day. It was just in my mind. I was always chanting it. And in my mind, I was like, I really want to do this full time. And yeah, within maybe 2 or 3 months, I was offered a full-time job in it. So it was really very blessed, but I also know that there was a lot of hard work behind it, and there was a lot of inner drive to do that.
You really created your luck.
Yeah, I think that's a nice way to put it.
Yeah. I've always felt like that with what I do too. It's just like there's part of you that you can get through all that crazy uncertainty and all the, people looking at you like, but what are you doing? Like there's no, who knows if you're going to...
You can't get paid being a yoga teacher. Why would you leave architecture and go into yoga?
And then there's this part of you that's so nuts, but also so beautifully like guiding you, that just always does know that you're meant to do it.
Yeah, I just couldn't. I think there's almost something inside me that I get to this point where I'm like, well, no, done, that's it. And I just couldn't have even gone there. I wouldn't have had, everything I do has to have heart and soul involved in it. And yeah, if that's gone, it's really difficult for me.
Do you believe that that's an option for everyone to
follow their dreams,
to really follow their heart and soul? I mean, who's going to scrub the toilets?
I mean, I still have to scrub my own toilet. It doesn't, just because you follow your dreams doesn't mean you don't have to scrub the toilet. I mean, what do they say? It's like, before enlightenment, chop wood and carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. Just because you're following your dreams and doing the thing that you want to do, it doesn't mean that you don't have to kind of still sit in a whole lot of mundane chores in life, but perhaps your attitude to them changes completely. Like you don't see them as much of a chore. So look, I mean, to be honest, I think that it would be a totally different world if we were all doing the thing that we love to do. I mean,
my mind loves
totally different world.
My mind loves to see the how, right? Like there's a part of my heart that knows that yes, that's possible, but my mind wants to see the how. And so when I think about how, it's like, and I get excited because I think, well, maybe technology will evolve one day where all those like the mundane tasks, like, toilets could potentially clean themselves. I'm sure they already exist, just as an example, know. And I wonder if that would liberate more of us to follow those passions. And
I think that we limit ourselves a lot, and we limit ourselves also by trying to figure out the how. Like if somebody said to me, well, how are you going to get paid? In fact, my mum said that to me a lot when I first started my business. I was at ground zero, I had nothing. And instead of putting on a paid class, I decided that I would put on a big community class for free and we'd do it for charity. And it was the very first thing that I did for the Light Collective. And we ended up getting 250 people there. Like, it was incredible. It was amazing. And it was the start of my whole business. And I remember mum saying, well, you should have gotten paid for this. How are you going to earn money from doing all this? And if I had gotten stuck in that, if I'd thought, okay, well, I should have been paid. I could have gotten, $2,500 from that if I charged. How can I kind of, figure everything out? I think that I would never have done what I've done. But I do have to say, when it comes to finances and the way I run my business, is that it is an important part of showing me what's working in my business.
Yeah.
So I'm following what I love to do, but I don't flog a kind of dead horse. Like, if no one is showing up for a practice, or if no one is paying me for it, it's a really good indication that even though I love it, it might not be the thing for everyone else, and it stays as my own personal practice. And I guess that's the thing when it comes to following your heart and doing what you really want to do. I encourage everyone to do it. It doesn't mean that it's all fun. I mean, I literally had 125 actionable emails yesterday after taking 6 days off. Like, I'm not talking about like, oh, that's just like somebody's that I've subscribed to. It's like, I've got it right back to 125 emails. So it's not like just because you follow your heart and soul that every single part of your job is going to be perfect. You're never going to have to do like the scrub the toilet thing, whatever that is for you. It's still going to be there. But I think that we can do things that resonate with us, because what it means is that we're creating meaning in our lives. And I know when I look at the women around me, the ones who have meaning in their lives are 100% less anxious than the ones who don't have the meaning, whether it's through work or whether it's through family or whether it's through like gardening skills and 80s dance classes, which is what I'm doing at the moment. It doesn't matter what it is. It's that meaning is really what I think helps align you. It really does, when you find that meaning in what you do. And if you get caught in, well, how am I going to get there? You'll probably never get started. It can be very self-defeating, and it can be a great procrastination tool. And if you're only focused on money, it can be really difficult. But you also have to be aware that you have to take care of yourself. You have to take bills, and you can use, I believe, finances as a way to mold and shift your business, not to the thing that you think is right, but to the thing that people want from you. And that, I believe, is so much more powerful. Like, we shift and we change at the Light Collective the way we work all the time. Like, COVID came and we basically created a whole new business, and it's all online now. You know what I mean? Like, we changed and shifted to the circumstance, That's the nature of Shakti, but follow finances as being an exchange of energy, which is demonstrative of how you can align and be on your path. I mean, I think that for us, it's a really good indicator.
And I must say, like, the library of classes and resources you have on the Light Collective online studio is absolutely mind-blowing.
Oh, thanks, George.
I can't believe how much stuff is in there. It's so, so beautiful. And like, you could show up every day and have a completely new, beautiful class for yourself.
100%. You could do that for an entire year.
Is that how much is on there?
Well, I think we're getting up to 300 now.
Oh my gosh.
Plus. Yeah. And I mean, that, and then we're running other courses. And in those courses, there are also daily practices that you can do and tons of techniques separate to that as well. So I just feel like within this kind of stream of yoga, and especially Tantric Yoga and women's yoga, there are so many beautiful techniques that can resonate with people in order to support them and help them in whatever it is that they're needing. It's like there's a breath for everything. Do you need to chill out at night? Do you need to let go of some energy? Do you need to bring vitality in? Do you need to build erotic energy? Like, I mean, there's so many things that you can do, even just with breath. Like, that's just like one aspect of it.
Oh my gosh, it's so amazing how much is available to us and how much we can. And it's like, yes, you're being guided to a practice, but it's within you. Like, and you're the one just like creating that for yourself by following this guidance.
Yes. Yeah. You're creating that sacred all the time in yourself.
Sian, thank you so much for being here and sharing your beautiful story and just everything. I feel like we got all sorts of amazing pieces there. For anyone who's listening and is like, oh my gosh, where can I find her? I want to go join the Light Collective, or any other offerings you've got. What have you got happening at the moment, and where can we find you?
Sure. So the Light Collective, we're an online yoga studio that incorporates breath work and meditation and mantra and kriya and divine feminine practices. And one side of the work that we do is a membership. So you can go onto the online yoga studio, and if you want to practice, we've got 5 days trial. So you can just hop in, try a few classes. If you don't like it, we won't mind. But if you do, stay on, be part of the community. And, you know, our community is a really big part of our work. And if you even just go to our Instagram, we have, like, I did a free live stream class today, something that you would find on the online yoga studio for people who can't afford it at the moment. And also, if you couldn't afford it, we have scholarships and memberships for people who are facing hardship too. And then the other side of the business is trainings, and courses. We have the Sacred Woman, which I'm sure many of your listeners would be super interested in because it's deeply feminine. It's all based on cycles and rhythms, and it's really an introduction to Tantra and the divine feminine and understanding the power of erotic energy in your body and starting to manifest and create that. It's really super powerful work that I have been training in for a long time now. It includes movement and breath. It includes like meditative focus and sound. It includes breast massage and also yoni work as well, which is like genital work. But it's all done from the safety of your own home. So, you know, you can feel really comfortable to do it at home, which is one of the beautiful things about online work, which we're really happy about. So,
and that's opening in April?
Yes. Yeah, so the Sacred Woman, we have a set container. It's a small group that we do it with because it's very deep work, and that will start in April. But because it's online, we hold the space for 6 weeks and we have check-in calls, but you'll have access to that course ongoing. So you'll have all of the practices, all of the tantric work. It'll all be there for you. But I'm there over those 6 weeks. And we also have like a book club as part of it. And we read super juicy women's books. And there's just like such a nice community. I feel like one of the most blessed aspects of the work that I do is that I just attract the most incredible women, like the women who come to my courses and we have yoga teacher trainings as well. They're just like a next level of human, where I feel like I'm somehow drawing them all into my sphere, and I'm just surrounded by incredible women. So yeah, I feel like it's really amazing. If you want to kind of be involved in our community in any way, we welcome everyone, and we welcome men as well, of course, or non-binary, or if you're not kind of gender related and you're more neutral, that's also fine. Everyone's welcome.
Everyone is welcome.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that sounds so beautiful and soul nourishing. And we'll make sure we've got links in the show notes so people can find you, Sian.
Thank you, Georgie,
so much for this gorgeous chat. It's just been, my heart feels full.
Mine too. It's so nice to connect with you and to see all the incredible work that you're doing out there for women and just helping make the world a better, more connected place. I absolutely love it.
Oh. Now, if you're ready to take things to the next level, to go on the deep dive into the anxiety reset method and all the work that I teach in my 90-day container, I invite you to join us in the Anxiety Reset Program. This is 90 days of working through every facet that could be contributing to high-functioning anxiety, building your resilience, your physical resilience within your physical body. So we're talking about your gut health, your hormones, your nutrition, the way you're sleeping, the way you are living your life. We also, at the same time, work on your thoughts and beliefs, but we do the physical stuff along the side so that it's so much easier to sit down and do the work. The brain's receiving the nutrients it needs. Your body, your nervous system is naturally able to be calmer. It's being supported and nourished so that when it comes to questioning your beliefs, when it comes to rewiring your anxious mind, the process flows so much more easily. I am obsessed with this work. I absolutely adore it. We now have bonus new hypnotherapy added in to the Anxiety Reset Program. So it's all updated with new content for anyone that signs up. You can go explore that. Hit the link in the show notes and you can find all about the program. If you're ready to do the work, I will give you all the tools you need to change your life and become an anxiety master. Included in the Anxiety Reset Program is 3 months bonus access to the Anxiety Masters membership, which is our live events component. Now you can join the Masters membership right now if you like, just to dip your toe in the water and get started. Or if you want to continue the work and have those reminders on a monthly basis, you can also become an anxiety master. This is the ongoing path to mastery, where we practice the concepts, we build on what you learn in the Anxiety Reset Program, and we take it further. This is how you show up consistently for yourself to do the inner work. If you've ever struggled to find the time to do this stuff, by signing up to the membership, it's already booked in your calendar on a monthly basis. It's regular enough that you are going to get results and you're going to keep moving forward. We have monthly breathwork classes, workshops run by me, and my group coaching as well. You'll be immersed in a community of women just like you who also want to celebrate slowing down, who also want to go for their dreams, those crazy ideas of maybe I can live my life in this way that feels so good in my heart. It's all available to you. No matter which option you choose, whether you go straight into the Anxiety Reset Program, you dip your toe in the water with the Anxiety Masters membership, or you stick with us through the year in the Masters membership, I will ensure that you become an anxiety master. Thank you for listening. We have reached the end of this episode. If you enjoy this podcast and you find it helpful, I would really appreciate it if you would hit subscribe or share this episode on your Instagram stories and make sure you tag @Georgie the Naturopath. But that is all for today. Please be kind to yourselves. know that you are enough and you are exactly where you need to be.